If you own a phone, drink coffee, or live in a house with a mortgage, there is a good chance one company has a financial stake in nearly every part of that experience. Not a government, not a bank you have heard of. A single asset manager in New York that most people could not name. That company is BlackRock. By some estimates, it manages more money than the economies of most countries on Earth combined. This is how that happened. BlackRock was founded in 1988 by Larry Fink and a small group of partners. At the time, it was a tiny fixed income shop, 8 people working out of a single room. Nobody could have predicted what it would become. The first real turning point was the index fund, packaged through ETFs. BlackRock did not invent the index fund. Vanguard gets credit for that. But in 2009, BlackRock acquired a company called Barclays Global Investors, and with it, a product line called iShares, one of the largest ETF platforms in the world. Overnight, BlackRock became the single biggest controller of passive investment products on the planet, just as passive investing was becoming the dominant way ordinary people saved for retirement. Here is the mechanism that made this so powerful. When you put money into your 401k and it goes into an index fund tracking the S&P 500, you are buying a tiny slice of every company in that index automatically. As more people moved their savings into passive funds, the assets under management at firms like BlackRock simply exploded. By 2024, BlackRock managed over $10 trillion in assets. That is more than the entire economic output of every country on Earth except the United States and China. But the money is only part of the story. The real power is in the voting rights attached to all those shares. When BlackRock buys shares of Apple, ExxonMobil, or Coca-Cola on behalf of millions of retirement accounts, it does not just hold those shares, it votes them. Because BlackRock holds shares in nearly every major public company at once, it becomes one of the largest voting shareholders in companies that are supposed to be competing with each other. Researchers call this common ownership. Economists Jose Azar, Martin Schmalz, and Isabel Tecu studied the airline industry and found that when the same asset managers held large stakes in competing airlines, ticket prices were higher than they would have been under more fragmented ownership. BlackRock disputes that its ownership creates these effects, and the academic debate is genuinely unsettled, with other research finding little measurable impact. But the scale of overlapping ownership is not in dispute. By 2017, the so-called Big Three, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, together held large stakes in the vast majority of S&P 500 companies. There is a second layer to BlackRock's influence. The company built a risk analytics platform called Aladdin, originally an internal tool to model risk across its own portfolios. Over time, BlackRock began licensing Aladdin to other institutions. Today, banks, insurers, and pension funds around the world run their portfolios through BlackRock's software, giving the company visibility into a staggering share of the global financial system's risk exposure. In 2020, when COVID-19 triggered a financial crisis, the Federal Reserve hired BlackRock to help manage emergency bond buying programs. A private asset manager was brought in to help administer the government's crisis response, partly because its tools were considered unmatched. This drew sharp criticism from lawmakers, who noted BlackRock was being paid to manage a crisis while holding investments that stood to benefit from the very policies it helped design. BlackRock maintains it operates under strict conflict of interest safeguards. So how concerned should you actually be? Reasonable people disagree. BlackRock does not control these companies the way a private owner would. Index funds must vote in the interest of fund shareholders, which include millions of ordinary retirement savers. And passive investing has made building a diversified portfolio dramatically cheaper for everyday people, but the scale is still worth sitting with. A small number of people inside a small number of firms now cast votes shaping the leadership of nearly every major company you interact with daily. Whether that concentration is a harmless byproduct of efficient investing or something deserving far more scrutiny is one of the more important financial questions of this decade. Most people have never even heard the company's name. If this changed how you think about where your money actually goes, hit follow, because this channel breaks down the systems quietly running the global economy every single week. Drop a comment with the company you want exposed next. And if you know someone who needs to see this, share it with them right now.